President Obama tells Congress to pass his $447 billion jobs bill immediately. For some reaction, we're joined by Texas Congressman Louie Gohmert. Welcome to Newsmax again, Representative.
Always good to talk to you, Ashley.
What do you think of Obama's jobs bill and why?
Well, I think it's misnamed. I think it should be Save Obama's Jobs Bill because that's the only job that's really going to be helped. They're going to be, I got this about 5 p.m. last night. I spent much of the night going through it. This is going to be a disaster for our economy. If this became law, there are certain individuals that will be helped. Government will be helped. We've created a new entity to oversee the broadband. We've got a new public safety broadband corporation that'll be set up by the government because they're going to control the broadband for us. And you've got, you do have some infrastructure, but it isn't what people think. You've got money supposedly for schools in here. It's not going to do what you think. But it always gets me about this president. He says, when he says we're going after the fat cats on Wall Street, all he's done is call them names, but in the meantime, behind the scenes, what he really has done is make more money for Wall Street than they've ever made. Goldman Sachs has made more profit under this president than ever in their history, and they were broke. They should have gone through bankruptcy. But with oil and gas, he says, you know, we hate people like British Petroleum in essence, but actually this will put independent operators out of business. Not immediately, it'll take a few years. But you eliminate the working interest deduction. Most wells don't make. And banks cannot loan to drill an oil well. You have to go out and convince people to invest in the oil wells. That's most of our production in the United States. The big guys, the British Petroleum, Exxon, they're interested in big plays. But the independent operators, they create jobs. So you would think maybe we'll stimulate something like that. But you eliminate the working interest deduction, that will devastate. Now, they call them subsidies. That's a misnomer. There are no subsidies in the oil business. A subsidy, you can look it up, it is a grant or gift of money. There's no grants or gifts. They're called deductions. They are deductions of the cost of doing business. Every manufacturer, every employer gets to deduct the cost of doing business. But this president wants to make sure oil companies don't. And who's going to be helped? The biggest oil companies will be helped. The price of oil, if this becomes law, will go up.
Obama wants to pay for this by raising taxes on people who make over $200,000 a year. Isn't that a deal breaker from the get-go?
Well, but he would say he's not raising taxes on these people. He's just eliminating massive amounts of deductions for people. He puts a percentage, a maximum amount of deductions you can have, but it's only for the billionaires, Ashley, only for the billionaires. And in fact, if you define billionaire as someone who makes more than $125,000, then you're a billionaire according to this president. Because if you make more than $125,000, your deductions will be severely limited. It is an outrage. It's $125,000 for an individual. It's $250,000 for a couple. $125,000 is not a billionaire. And yet he wants to go out and demagogue and say, how could anybody be against the ultra rich paying their fair share? He says he wanted government working side by side with business. That is not the government's role. Businesses don't need the government as a partner. They need the government as a referee. Make sure the playing field is level, keep things fair, and then get out of the way.
Louie, Obama must know this stands no chance of passing the House. Why is he doing it? Is it just a ploy for his 2012 re-election campaign?
Well, that's why I call it the Save Obama's Jobs Bill. But I want to reinforce this because it's really the plaintiff's lawyer full employment bill. Congress finds that denial of employment opportunities to individuals because of their status as unemployed is discriminatory and burdens commerce. And then it goes on, if you apply for a job and you think that the reason you didn't get hired is because you were unemployed at the time, you're now a protected class. You've now got a cause of action. Go get a lawyer. There's enforcement here. Oh, and by the way, for states that we're going to help by this bill, look at page 133. A state shall not be immune under the 11th Amendment to the Constitution from a suit brought in federal court for a violation of this act. And how does the state waive their sovereign immunity? It says a state's receipt or use of federal financial assistance for any program under the bill or any activity at all shall constitute a waiver of sovereign immunity. You accept $1 of federal money for any program in your state, you've waived your right not to be sued for not hiring somebody because they're unemployed. How do you prove, if you're an employer, that you did not hire someone or that being unemployed was not the reason that you didn't hire somebody? It is going to create all kinds of claims for these massive people, and there'll be more and more unemployed because of this bill. But this is a disaster. This Save Obama's Job bill is going to cost so many more jobs, and we're not just talking about the people in Congress. This is a disaster. Oh, and by the way, I would have thought we learned our lesson that green priority, like the president's cronies that they gave $500 million to, that we would have learned something here. Oh no, we're giving green priority to everything in this bill. Why do we need an American Infrastructure Financing Authority? I mean, this thing is terrible.
You House Republicans have passed over a dozen bills aimed at sparking job creation, but they're all being held up in the Senate by Harry Reid. Why don't Republicans make more of a case about this to the voters?
I hope that we're going to start making better cases. And the way you do that is keep bringing these bills up. You know, like the repeal Obamacare, yeah, we passed it early on this year. But unless you keep bringing the subject up and keep trying to jam it into every bill, then it is not a big deal. And it's exactly right. We need to be making a bigger deal about the Senate having all these bills just sitting there.
All right, the first stimulus cost us $3,270 billion, according to the Heritage Foundation, over 10 years. Seems the only thing it stimulated, though, was the national debt. Is Obama's jobs bill nothing more than another stimulus?
It's intended to be a stimulus, but it is going to stimulate the economy almost as much as the last stimulus bill stimulated the economy. It drove unemployment from below 8 to up over 10, and you know, it's over 9 now. He assured us, though, that if we did not pass his stimulus bill, unemployment might go as high, he said, as 8.5%. That 8.5% looks pretty good right now.
Texas Congressman Louie Gohmert, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.